Our main talk today will be given by Jimenez, entitled Peace Corps, Her Panama Experience and More. Chanel is a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Panama, where she worked in a large urban community from 2019 to 2020. She supported English professors and community leaders at the local high school, the town library, and a nearby university, facilitating leadership and life skills seminars for elementary, high school, and university students. She is now the Houston Recruiter, where she answers general questions, helps applicants set expectations for service, and coaches them through the application process. Chanel is originally from Dallas, Texas, and is a first-generation college graduate holding a Bachelor of Anthropology from the University of North Texas. And with no further ado, Chanel, take the stage.
Can hear me and see me okay. Thank you, Terry, for the introduction. Yes, my name is Chanel Jimenez. I am the Houston Peace Corps recruiter, but most importantly, I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer, and I'm just here to talk about my experience and answer any questions. I'm going to share my screen. I'm excited to be here. I'm a little nervous, but I do this all the time, so it should be fine. It should come through fine. So before I start, I like to just do a land acknowledgement. And through research, I found that in the Houston area, there was a group of people called Acoquita people. And they were just an indigenous tribe that lived in the Galveston Bay and Lower Trinity and San Jacinto River in Texas, what is now known as the Houston area. Oh, I can see everybody. Great. Yes, so like I said, my name is Chanel Jimenez. I am the Houston Regional Recruiter. I use pronouns she, her, and ella in Spanish. And I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Panama, which is in Central America. I was in the education sector, teaching English, leadership, and life skills, mostly to high schoolers, but I also did work with university students and elementary school children. And in Panama, the language is Spanish, so I spoke Spanish basically the whole time, with the exception of when I was teaching. And then Panama has indigenous groups around the country, and they speak their own language in addition to Spanish. So the largest language or the most common language was Nobere, which is what you see here after Spanish. I didn't learn it. I didn't need to where I was living. I didn't work with indigenous people directly, so I didn't need to learn it. Other volunteers in other parts of the country did learn it a little bit more, and they did speak it and use it more frequently. And like Terry said, I'm a proud graduate of University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, and I have a degree in applied anthropology. And so these are just photos of my service. I have tons, so I'll just speak on them as we go through. You can see a map here of Panama, and I will blow up this map in a little bit. I will show it bigger. And then the photo at the bottom left is me with another volunteer. This volunteer is from Louisiana, and we were emceeing a event for our community, and the community members wanted us to wear typical garments, typical traditional clothes. So here I am wearing what's called a pollera, which is the skirt is long, and in the back in the day was made to, you could use it to kind of like shush away the chickens. And in Spanish, chickens are pollos or gallinas. And so they just call it pollera. And then just a blouse, a blouson. And then my friend, he's wearing A very decorative shirt. Typically, the traditional shirts are white. They're not as colorful as this one, but this one was more for special events and special traditions, so that's why it's very colorful. And then in his hand, he has the hat, sombrero pintado, which is painted hat, basically. And then the other photo is me just on top of a hill, top of a mountain, and you can see the beautiful landscape of Panama. Panama is very mountainous. It has a lot of green, it has rainforest, but it also has mountains and volcanoes. So here you can see that in a beautiful, beautiful day, clear day. So a little bit about Peace Corps. Peace Corps is a federal agency that was opened or established in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy. And our mission is to promote world peace and friendship. And we do that by fulfilling 3 goals. And so the first goal is to go and support people in other countries that request us. So we meet the interest, or we meet the countries that are interested in some form by sending trained individuals to those countries. So me having the background that I did, not only educational, but also experiences, I was placed in the education sector teaching, because I had background in teaching, co-teaching, tutoring, mentoring, etc. So I was placed there by the request of the community. And then the other 2 goals, the number 2 and number 3, it's just cultural exchange. So we promote a better understanding of what the U.S. is like by just being in that country and just talking to the community about us and who we are. And then whenever I come back and I talk to all of you about Panama, I'm promoting a better understanding of the world here in the U.S. and in the community. So it's a lot of cultural exchange and a lot of capacity building and capacity support and grassroots support. So their basic requirements, this is more on the recruiting spiel that I'm doing. I'll try to be quick, but basic requirements, you must be 18 years or older and a US citizen, either naturalized or by birth. And the length of service is 27 months. So 3 months of training, very intensive full training, and then 24 months of service. And the 3 months of training, you are in the community. You train maybe a day of, it's called staging in the US, but all the training, language, culture, technical, safety, and security, all that training is in the country. And then just here's some other facts about Peace Corps. We had 7,000 plus volunteers in the field. As of March 2020, all of us were evacuated due to COVID, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But just know that up until now, there has been 240,000 volunteers. And most of us say that we recommend service. Service for most of us, 90% of us, was great. It was a really great experience. And then you can see there is no age limit. So volunteer range in age from 20 to 86. So a lot of people that retire end up going to Peace Corps in their 60s and 70s. There is no limit. And so, yes, I'll continue now. So program areas, concentrations, here you see there's 6 of them. I was in the education sector, but I did a lot of youth and development stuff too, with leadership and life skills, teaching SMART goals, teaching about just emotional health. Sometimes we would even go into schools and teach about sexual health or even like consent, depending on the age of the student. So if you have a background in like business, you could go into the community economic development sector and work with small businesses in a community, a group of women that maybe have a small business, or teach young people or even adults about maybe basic finance. If you have a background in agriculture, you can go into community and work with farmers in that community. So there's all types. We are always looking for people with all types of backgrounds, because it's all types of things that we do, of course. So and then just so you have an idea, these are all the countries that we serve in. It's about 60 plus, and they're divided into 3 regions. So the Inter-American and Pacific region, the African region, and then Europe, Mediterranean, and Asia region. And then let me see, I'm gonna use laser point. So here is Panama, right here, right there where I'm crossing. It's what's called an isthmus. And I'll go into the, here we go. This is the big map that I like. So Panama is an isthmus. An isthmus is what a peninsula is to Florida. Isthmus is to Panama, which is two big bodies of water on each side of the country. So on this top side is the Caribbean, and then on this other side, bottom side, is the Pacific. And then Colombia is right here, and Costa Rica is on this side. And Panama City is right here. This is where we all fly into. And my community was 2.5 hours. If you go down this highway and you get to here, Anton, this is where I lived. I was one of the closer volunteers to the city. There's people that were placed over here in Las Tablas, and that's about 6 hours away. Then there was people placed over here in Bocas del Toro, which is the province called Bocas del Toro. You can see right here the name. And these people here, these volunteers here, were about 12 hours on bus, 14 hours on bus. And this area right here is very, very foresty. So it's very isolated in a way. It's hard to get in and hard to get out of. But yeah, it's a beautiful country, like I said. Let me see, am I forgetting anything? No, I think for now, that's all I want to say about that. So here's just some photos of me and my service. Like I said, I was teaching English, leadership, and life skills. And there's just some photos. My main project was working at the high school. So these right here are professors that I work with. They're all Panamanian and they all are English professors. My high school was about this, it had about 1,800 students, which is really big. And we had about 20 English professors. And so these are only about half of them. And a lot of the times I would spend time with one professor a day and work with them in their class. And we would do different teaching methodologies, different ways of making more interactive, making the classroom more interactive, making the students more interested in English. Other times I was working with other teachers, maybe in more like life skills setting, like life skill topics. So SMART goals, how to maybe study better, how to take notes better, just different things. A lot of the times, most of the times, the community will tell you what they need help with or what they want your support with. You can bring your own ideas and your own interests, but you just make sure that the community is interested in that and that they're, you know, you're gonna work side by side with them. A big sustainability aspect of this is that we work with the community and make sure that we're providing or passing on skills. We're not just taking over a project on our own and just doing what we think is best. We're really working with them and passing on any skills. So if it's a different way of teaching methodology, we're passing on that skill to the teacher, things like that. So then these students are on the younger side. So these are elementary age, and then these are like middle school age. And so here I was just supporting other professors outside of the high school or in the library. I was just supporting them in any other project. So here we were doing just basic English, and we did like we were doing like poems talking about ourselves, and in that I would like to incorporate self-esteem things, just different. You just had to be very creative. And this photo here these are all English professors of the province. So we were just supporting them in a seminar that they had during the summer regarding like teaching methodologies. And the cool thing about Peace Corps is that because we are tied with the government requests us. The Ministry of Education knew of us, and so we work with the Ministry of Education. So in the US, I think a lot of the times we maybe like right out of college in jobs, you won't work with these high level professionals. But in Peace Corps, you have that ability. So in the US, I can't say I work with like the Department of Education, you know, but in Panama, I work with them. I work with them directly. I work with an initiative called Panama Bilingüe, which is the reason why we were there. Panama wants to be bilingual or wants to have a higher language of English. And so we work with that organization, that government organization directly. These are just more cultural photos. a lot of our work is to just integrate into the community, become part of the community, you know, the language, the culture, understand it very well. Part of it is because you want to know who do you need to work with, who do you need to talk to have projects, who is who, what the social rank is like, the social hierarchy. So you really need to just be very well incorporated, very well integrated into the community. And a lot of the other times is for health and for safety. You want to make sure that the community is watching out for you and that you understand the social norms, you understand what you should do, what you shouldn't do, etc. So these are just me, photos of me just being well integrated, me just having the time of my life, having a lot of fun. These are my students from the high school, and they were doing a parade and they were dressed in their like band outfits, and I was just there cheering them on. I wasn't like teaching them anything. I was just there supporting them. And then this is a grandma and a kid who took me in as part of their family, and I still talk to them weekly. I tutored the little boy, and that's kind of how I got to know the family. But then they just took me in as a daughter, as an aunt, as a cousin, as a sister. And then you can tell that I was very well integrated and that I trusted that family because I'm on a horse, and I'm not the type of person to get on a horse, but I trusted them enough to get on this horse. And so I'm just enjoying, and really just, there's no other thing to say. I was just enjoying the day. They called me and they said, we have a horse out here, come over and so you can ride it. There was a parade going on, so there was a lot of people on horses. And yeah, and so here they're celebrating a festival that they have. It just happened late October. This festival just happened again. And they were just celebrating. It's just to keep the traditions alive of the community. So they do this every year. And it's pretty big. This festival, I think, lasts like 3 or 4 days, if I remember correctly. And then just food. This is yuca with fried fish. And then this is just lentils, rice, chicken, and plantain. And then this is something called duro. Duro in English means hard. And so this is just like a liquid that's been frozen, and you just bite the plastic tip off and you just drink it. You eat it and then it starts melting and you drink it. So yeah, I was really well integrated. I had a great time. It was hard in a lot of ways, but it was also a very good, rewarding experience. So these are volunteers that were with me in the province. So in Panama, when I was there was about 220 volunteers all over the country. And these are just the volunteers that were in the English or in the education sector in my province. So about 15, maybe 10. I think we're missing a few, but these are people that I became very close with. These people are from all over the US. So some people are from Virginia, Louisiana. Let's see, this person is actually from Switzerland, so she has like double nationality. And then Indiana, this person is from El Paso. And so they're just from everywhere around the country, and we just came together because of Peace Corps. And they were all either English teachers in the past or had some education background, and that's why we were all in the education sector. Okay, so I like to talk about Panama being more than the canal. The canal was really just like one day out of my whole time that I was there. We went and we saw it and we took photos, and that was it. There's nothing else to it. The canal brings a lot of money into Panama. It's wild to think about that all over people, you know, all the world shipments go through Panama Canal, or most of them. And it was a cool experience to see, but people in Panama, there's so much else going on that it was just kind of its own thing. I like to just point out that the canal is there and it has its place, but then there's other things happening in Panama. And so this is Panama from my eyes, from my view. This was where I live. This was my community. This right here is the church. And then these two photos of green is near my community. So it's not in my community, it's right outside, maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes outside. And so everything is green, everything is beautiful. Everything is luscious. Everything is very calm, very slow. And Panama really taught me to slow down, to really just be okay with just sitting. That was a lot of what I did in service, sitting with people, talking with them, maybe drinking coffee or drinking tea, just hanging out, talking. Really, that's really just what they value, and in a lot of other places in around the world. And then these photos right here is the city. These three, so this one of me, and then this of me and two other friends, and then this is the city. Panama is a great, what's the word? Not popular. I'm thinking just very on with the times. It's just a city like any other city around the world, the capital city, and it's like a U.S. city in a lot of ways. It has skyscrapers, there's cars, it's busy, it's kind of loud, crazy. But then when you get into the rural areas, it's what you see here, and things. Life is just much slower, and it's very nice to be in the rural areas. I'm a city person, like I'm from Dallas, but it was really nice to be in the rural area and really get to know and appreciate the small town life and the small town like way of living and mindset. So these are more photos of my community. Yeah, this is just a church and horses. I'd never seen horses so close in my life, like I mentioned earlier. And then just a beautiful tree. Sometimes when I would get sad or homesick, I would go outside and take photos and walk around, and I would always feel better. So that's all I have. This is my information. If anyone wants to contact me, I'm gonna stop here and answer any questions.